If there's one blockbuster movie, one entire franchise, one massive property which defines my childhood and probably the childhoods of other people who were born around 2002, 2001, 2000, that range, it would have to be Avatar. I was only 7 when Avatar 1 came out, and I remember Avatar Mania. For a year straight, it was nothing but Avatar. All the Happy Meal toys, all the posters, giant cardboard cutouts at Walmart, and I was just thinking, what the fuck is everyone getting so excited about this Blue People movie over? So today, we're going to take a look at the highly anticipated sequel, Avatar 2, The Way of Water, and why, much like its predecessor, I'm thoroughly convinced this one will also blow serious chunks. Let's get into it. Obviously, a lot of movies are judged and then later revisited, and, people reevaluate them and realize that they actually had some potential. As of late, a lot of people have been going back to the Star Wars prequels and realizing just how good the Star Wars prequels were. And the same treatment has been given to Avatar, despite the fact that the Star Wars prequels are actually good movies and Avatar is more like a tech demo reel. Don't get me wrong, James Cameron has put out some decent movies. Aliens is a decent sequel. Not as good as Alien, but don't fight me on that. T2, T1, some decent movies. He put out Titanic, which I think is one of the worst fucking movies ever made. Don't get me started on that. Seems like James Cameron, unlike other directors who are concerned with actually making really good movies, is concerned mostly with spectacle, which is why, after making Titanic, the most bloated box office profit in history, he decided to one-up his own record and go, yeah, it's Avatar now, baby. Avatar now is, I would say, one of the most excessive films ever made. It just reeks of excess. It just reeks of no story, terrible acting, no point. It's just a giant CGI demo reel. James Cameron going, look at what we can do. We can make mocap suits, and now the people are blue. Making big blue people. The big blue people. Blue people. That's impressive and all, but CGI is not an innovative technology. There's nothing you can do with CGI. It's fucking boring and played out at this point. It reached its peak in like Terminator 2 with the liquid metal Terminator. That's about the peak of CGI. I've given movies passes before that use CGI, like Jurassic Park or the Star Wars prequels, but one movie I can't really give a pass to is Avatar because it doesn't have a story. Unlike Jurassic Park or the Star Wars prequels, Avatar literally has nothing going for it. There are a lot of arguments levied against Avatar, some of which these morons claim are unfounded, and some of which I think are founded. One argument I hear a lot is that Avatar is just Dances with Wolves, but in space. I would argue this isn't the case because Dances with Wolves is actually a good movie, and Avatar, again, is just an overhyped tech reel. I think this misses the point because Avatar really isn't just a rip-off of Dances with Wolves substituting aliens for Native Americans. I think the theme of extraterrestrial genocide was accomplished much more effectively in Ray Bradbury's classic fix-up novel, The Martian Chronicles, which you should definitely read, and I'm sure a staggering amount of Avatar fans have never read, despite the fact that, it's one of the greatest science fiction works of all time, and way, way better than Avatar. But I don't think it's really derivative of Dances with Wolves. One could make the argument that Avatar is, by and large, an original story. However, while originality is often a component of quality, there are a few anomalous original movies with completely original new stories that have never been seen before that are bad. Donnie Darko being one such example. That movie is not derivative, yet it is terrible in nearly every regard, from cinematic composition to acting to the script to the direction. Avatar is a movie I have even less respect for than Donnie Darko, in that it is, like I said, an incredibly excessive film, almost to the point of self-parody. It is hard to conceive of a more CGI-filled action spectacle garbage fest that came out before or since, especially something that came out in 2009. Avatar is, nonetheless, an important film in cinematic history, as it marked the exact point when directors stopped giving a shit about how their movies looked, and just tried pouring as much money into VFX as possible. Sometimes they didn't even need a story. I would say that Avatar, as far as sci-fi films go, probably fits into the same category as high-concept science fiction movies like Chaos Walking or Mortal Engines, which upon closer inspection are actually really low concept and they just look pretty, with all the special effects and everything. But they're really not good. They're really bad. Avatar is a formative film in that respect. It pretends to mean something, but it doesn't mean shit. It's just a bunch of blue people. And the sooner we can all just accept that, the sooner we can admit, hey, this new sequel is going to be the same as the first one, and it's going to fucking suck. I get that 10 years have passed, well, more than 10 years, 13 years at this point, and people are starting to get nostalgic for the 2000s and, the late 2000s even, and we're like, oh wow, this underrated masterpiece, Avatar. It's not an underrated masterpiece. It was given way too much budget. It was one of the first examples of a movie where I just looked at it and I went, yeah, this ain't for me. A lot of people are counting on Avatar 2 as if it's some kind of independent auteur project and James Cameron is some kind of legendary genius. He's not the kind of director where I go, yeah, everything James Cameron's ever made is good. He's made some crap. There are very few directors who I'd say have like a flawless home run filmography, like Lars von Trier, not many. James Cameron definitely isn't like a genius or anything. He's put together some pretty documentaries about the ocean. I've never been to the ocean, so I don't know shit about it. I don't care. I live in Colorado. Update. A lot of people are saying that, with the recent Star Wars sequels that everyone hated, and the MCU, and, Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, people are like, oh, well, Avatar 2, it's an example of a franchise that's completely visionary and totally, new, and James Cameron is going to do all this new cool shit that is totally different. This is wrong for quite a few reasons. For one, Avatar is owned by 20th Century Fox, who is owned by, guess who, Disney. So by buying tickets to Avatar 2, The Way of Water, you're not actually funding anything except the same company which made those other CGI dumpster fire low-effort movies. You're not paying to see better movies, you're just paying the same company. Well, as I understand it, Avatar 2 is getting a lot less funding than the MCU or Star Wars, and he is funding this project for the most part himself. And I can certainly respect the grind as someone who's made free video content for three years at this point without any expectations of even getting paid. I can respect James Cameron for mostly funding this movie out of his own pocket instead of forcing anyone else to pay for it. I really don't see like a visionary movie here. I see a fucking CGI dumpster fire, because that's what the first one was. The second one will be the same. CGI is not an innovative technology. It always looks like shit, like 99% of the time. And maybe that's just me, because I can tell what's physically there and what's not. I have a good eye for that sort of thing. And in Jurassic Park, it's very easy to tell the difference between the velociraptors and the brontosaurs, which are CGI, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is a real model and looks way better. CGI just is not the sort of thing where I go, wow, this director is hitting new strides. Now, of course, The Way of Water has gotten a lot of press for the methods it uses. Oh, it's going to have special screens, it's going to have special surround equipment and monitors, and James Cameron's rigged up a whole mirror maze of shit. But these days, the only progress to be made in filmmaking is with practical effects. This is why a movie like The House That Jack Built by Lars von Trier looks good, because most of the stuff in it is real, because Lars von Trier isn't a hack, and James Cameron, as much as I hate to say this, kind of is. I've probably made more innovations to the cinematic medium with this cheapo digital camera than James Cameron has during his, 50, 40, 40 years of filmmaking. I've probably made more innovations with practical effects and good old-fashioned know-how and intuition, and I would argue a lot of people have. We've entered the digital age, where people no longer need to put together expansive CGI spectacle to impress. When easy consumer-grade cameras are made available to the public, you can experiment on your own and come up with some really cool shit. Now, Avatar 2, of course, much like its predecessor, is mainly built on marketing hype. Guess what other movie is built on marketing hype around the incredible motion capture CGI shit? That's right, Cats. Cats was also billed as, oh my gosh, you won't be able to tell they're cats. You totally won't notice that these things are monstrosities that should be burned alive on the stake. Blue people will look totally convincing this time. Trust us, guys. This time it's for real. These blue people will look totally awesome. You won't be able to tell that it's made with a computer. Surprise! I am able to tell that it's made by a computer. It's not that hard to tell. And if a movie isn't immersive, like, what's the point? One criticism of Avatar is that it is a film with literally no staying power that everyone had completely forgot about until the announcement for Avatar 2 was made, at which point all the people who had understandably forgotten about the first movie pretended like they were huge fans of the first one, who understood its excellence and its forgotten beauty. That's the thing about Avatar. It really is a franchise with zero staying power. It's just blue people. You know why Star Wars has staying power? Because there's so many cool planets and characters and shit. You got the city planets, you got the desert planets, you got the forest planets, you got the snow planets, you got Admiral Akbar, you got Yoda, you got Jabba the Hutt, you got Han Solo, you got Lando, you got Boba Fett, you got Jar Jar, especially Jar Jar. What's Avatar have? Oh, hi, I'm the Na'vi. I'm a blue, tall guy. Wow, you sure are taking us into a spectacular sci-fi world here. You sure are pushing the boundaries of the universe with your tall blue people who are a really low-effort metaphor for Native Americans. Wow, you sure are doing new things here. And I'm not one for like a sci-fi franchise where all the humans are like evil and terrible and oh my gosh. We're supposed to identify with the humans, because I'm a human, and in sci-fi, generally, I like watching stuff about humans. Again, that's why The Martian Chronicles is so good. Seriously, just read The Martian Chronicles. I'm not saying Avatar ripped The Martian Chronicles off, but The Martian Chronicles is like a way better story about alien genocide if that's what you're into. Avatar is a movie so blunt in its message, so devoid of nuance or subtlety, that it may very well be like the worst 2000s movie. I think it was the culmination of cinema's darkest period, which was, without a doubt, the 2000s, where you saw just complete shit. It's very hard to think of a legitimately good 2000s movie. There are very few, because it was like before the internet really came around, but like after the 90s. 2000s, I would argue, is the dark age of cinema and should be treated as such and stayed away from as much as possible. Anyone who claims that Avatar is a deviation from Star Wars or the MCU fails to understand what Avatar really signifies, and that is the beginning of movies like The Avengers or Star Wars The Force Awakens, where people realized, hey, we don't need to make a movie with a story. We can just pretend like we're innovating on special effects. There aren't really any movies before Avatar with CGI that use CGI to the extent Avatar does, because it's a marketing tool in Avatar. I think it'll be fun when Avatar 2 comes out and it'll be around for even less time than its predecessor. Its predecessor was talked about for roughly a year and then completely vanished because nobody cared about it. I think Avatar will probably last, at the most, this time around, for 3 months max. And it'll be a lot of fun after so much hype has been built up around the sequel and so many people have been like, oh my god, James Cameron, the fucking genius, is here to give us a flawless masterpiece after 13 years. It's going to be around for 3 months, and then nobody's going to be talking about it anymore. That's my prediction. It'll be fun to see that come to fruition. This one's going to have even less staying power, because A, it's a sequel, and sequels usually aren't as good, and it's a sequel to a movie that was already shit that does nothing new, and it's literally just the same old rigmarole where James Cameron goes, oh my gosh guys, this technology is so new. Same shtick he pulled with Avatar, where he was like, gosh guys, this technology is so new. Same shtick he pulled with Titanic, where he was like, oh my gosh, I remade the Titanic. Well, guess what? If there's not a fucking Death Star in there, I don't really give a shit. What do people see in Titanic? I don't get it. It's a boat. 2 hot people are making out on it. Great. It's not the Death Star. Who cares? It's a boat. It might seem like an understatement, considering it's a Titanic and all. It is just a boat. I've seen boats. They're not like cruise ship boats, because I've never been to the ocean, but I've seen boats, you know. I know what a boat is. Tell me a Death Star, James Cameron, then maybe we can talk. I think it's really interesting, just the amount of, like, people who were like, you know, in the past decade they've been like, Avatar, yeah, that movie was shit. And then suddenly the trailer comes out and you see the blue people and everyone's like, oh my god, Avatar, I want to go back to Pandora. I want to see the Na'vi as they eat their worm food or whatever it is that blue people eat. I haven't seen Avatar. Of course I haven't. I didn't see Star Trek, the new one, in 2009 either. I remember it. I remember going to Star Trek in 2009 and everyone was like, oh, it's so good, it redefines the Star Trek unit. And I was like, if Patrick Stewart or William Shatner aren't in it, why the fuck would I give a shit? Oh, Chris Pine, Simon Pegg, miss me with that shit. Star Trek 2009 just sucks. 2009 was a bad year for movies. Glad we're past that. And hopefully Avatar 2 is kind of the end of an era. I do think audiences are sick of this kind of shit, and now with Avengers over and, you know, the new Star Wars over, like, there's really nothing to keep people coming back for more of this trash. Like, Disney kind of played all their cards right out the gate. So Disney's never been one for, like, sci-fi innovation. The Black Hole came out the same year as Alien. Just like to put that into perspective. Like, imagine that. The Black Hole came out the same year as Alien. That's nuts. I get that, you know, Alien's owned by 20th Century Fox, and now it's technically a Disney property, but the original Alien came out the same year as The Black Hole. So I don't know why we're saying, like, oh yeah, Disney's the shit. When I saw a trailer for, like, a science fiction movie just recently. It was a French thing, I think, and it looked awesome. I'm probably never going to be able to see it because all these incredible obscure movies, like The Strange Color of Your Body's Tears or whatever, they're just shown like once and then never again. It's so sad. There's so many good independent movies. I don't remember what the movie was called, but if I find the trailer for it, I'll edit it in here. There's so many good independent sci-fi movies and horror movies and all kinds of movies just coming out every frickin' week. And meanwhile, the only thing I hear anyone talking about is Avatar 2, and it's like, what world am I even in right now, you know, where blue people can just, like, make everyone so much in an uproar. It's like, the blue people, you know. I think I'd like to end this little review slash prediction slash retrospective off with one note. Originally, there was going to be a sequel to the movie Barbarella with Jane Fonda called Barbarella Goes Down, where Barbarella engages in nautical antics under the ocean. Considering that the new Avatar is going to have something to do with the ocean, considering it's called The Way of Water and all, I'd like to say that considering Barbarella is a more influential film in the genre of science fiction than Avatar, with better acting, better effects, and a more convincing world, I'm not going to be watching Avatar 2, The Way of Water, until Barbarella Goes Down with Jane Fonda comes out. Probably never going to come out, but if it ever does, I'll watch it, and then I'll watch Avatar 2, The Way of Water. Just a little guarantee there. Probably not going to happen. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the terrible franchise that is Avatar and the legions of morons who are now chomping at the bit like, we underestimated James Cameron, guys. We underrated him. He's going to freaking change the game. He's going to bring us more blue people. He's going to take us back to Pandora, and we're going to get an experience that's so real and immersive, it'll feel like we're actually possessing one of the bodies of the Navi, but that's not how it's going to work. Anyway, that's my prediction, yeah. I think Avatar 2 looks like a piece of shit and a waste of time, and probably not worth watching any James Cameron movie besides, like, Terminator 1, Terminator 2, maybe Aliens. Not much else. Like, Titanic is bad, Avatar is bad, True Lies. He's not, like, a genius, he's not that great. Like, come on. There's better directors out there. I'm not saying he's the worst or anything. He's not the best. Anyway, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed, just living through this Avatar fever dream. 2009, I thought, that was it. But here we go again down the roller coaster of weird obsession with these fucking blue people. Like, who gives a shit? They're blue people. They're tall. They worship nature or whatever. Screw it. Stop.
There are all kinds of things in the world of Avatar, like super cool toys that will play with you. Hey! It hears me when you play with them. There's one in your McDonald's Happy Meal.